today we are here with the man who needs no introduction, I would hope, Matthew Mercer. And I'm kind of curious because I've seen this, go multitude of different directions on the internet. Do you prefer Matt or Matthew?
Matt's totally fine. Matthew's more like the professional title that my agent said looks better on my materials. So, but I'm fucking Matt. So,
hell yeah. I have to ask too because my brother is also a Matthew.
Oh no, fair. No, I'm used to Matt. Go by either, but I'm used to Matt. Just
kind of kick things off. We set this up, or at least we floated this around when I met you guys back at C2E2.
Yeah.
And that was just a surreal experience in general, because that was the first time I've been to Chicago, and that was just a on the whim invitation thanks to Travis. I didn't know it was happening. And we were talking just before this too about how, obviously you grew up a pretty huge nerd in maybe underselling it a little bit, but going to conventions and whatnot, and then being the person who, that people are now there to see, and what that's been like.
That's been weird.
Not to say I'm large by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that when I went up to the convention, to meet Travis for the first time, the fact that he kind of had a geek out moment in the line when I popped up, I didn't even know how to react to that, man.
No, totally. We had watched all of your reaction videos to Vox Machina, and then some of your other content as well. So it's one of those weird scenarios, once again, where you're you never know who's paying attention to what you're doing. And then all of a sudden, and it's one of my favorite moments is when you're like, hey, just want to tell you, big fan of your work. And the person's like, oh, I know who you are. And you're like, how? And you're like, what? Yeah. It's very weird, but I'm always appreciative.
Yeah. When we were talking about Paul Sung-Young Lee, you guys might know from Kim's Convenience, or more probably broader sense, The Mandalorian, Carson Teva, now recently live action Uncle Iroh. Mm-hmm. Similar experience. And I was like, oh no, what did I say? That's one of those things that also catches me off guard too, because I don't know what the hell came out of my mouth at any time about a certain thing or whatever, especially because I think it was Avatar was the thing at the time too. I was like, oh God, I know I wasn't shy about certain opinions.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then he was like, oh yeah, we all watched it. And I was like, ugh. No.
I love it.
But yeah, what was that transition like for you? That first, what happened here? How did I get to this point?
Very, I'd say kind of weird and kind of gradual. It wasn't like I had a big thing that shot me into the professional side of things. I've been going to cons since I was in high school, and a good number of my best friends to this day I met in the cosplay scene at various anime conventions and pop culture cons. And my first time ever being invited as a guest to a convention, unpaid, but just to go and talk at a panel, which for me was exciting. I was like, hey, somebody cares about the weird nerdy things that I do, was as a cosplay guest. So I would go there and do panels about costume construction and, doing, on stage skits as part of the presentation for the cosplay, contest and stuff like that. And so even that was it was an exciting opportunity to kind of give back to the community that I've been part of for a while and kind of share a little bit of my experience, and hopefully that helps people. And then around late 2000s, I was doing little bits of voiceover here and there and was starting to try and pursue it as a full career. And then after a stretch of hard work and the desolate wasteland of opportunity, I eventually started to build a career, luckily, and that began to lead to more invitations to conventions as a guest for voiceover. And so that was another weird transition point of now being in a position where people recognized my work for VO, for video games, and then eventually more cartoons, and then it just kind of grew from there. But it was odd to have spent so many years going to cons, waiting in line to get things signed or to meet people that I looked up to now being one of those people. It was surprising, but I guess the best way I can describe it is very, very honored and very much understanding the responsibility involved. If that makes sense. Like, do not take it lightly. Do not take it for granted. I know all this can go away at any moment. And knowing how people that were kind to me that I looked up to from that perspective just further emphasizes the responsibility I feel for making sure that anybody who would take the time to wait in line to meet me, that I give them the time that they're worth, you know? So I'm very grateful for that perspective.
No, for sure. Like, especially like when I was there in Chicago, I think like you definitely like the attention you gave to everybody and made sure they had that time was one, just really appreciative. And just like from like even while I was like sitting back as well, just kind of waiting, it's just like it's just something too that I like. I as somebody who was waiting, I was like to see, because it's like you didn't let it falter for any single person. And that's hard. Like at least for me, I get really fast like social drain out of certain things. And I gotta commend any of y'all who can make it through a day like that, especially with those types of numbers, man. How do you keep yourself going? Legally speaking.
Yeah. That's me. No, yeah. I mean, energy drink helps, but no, it's a feedback loop, you know, of energy. Like, you know, being excited to engage with the community that I've always been a part of, but also of people that are as invested in what we've been doing as we are, is exciting. And so a lot of it is kind of taking that energy and letting that kind of wash through us and then keep us present and lifted. So, you know, as long as folks are engaged, so are we. Then at the end of the day, when the line's finished, it is a massive emotional crash. All of us come back to the green room going, you know, it's very worthwhile. You know, and some parts of it do become emotional labor, you know, a lot of very intense emotional stories about how, you know, some of the things that we've worked on have been very positive lights for people in very dark times. Mm-hmm. And that's not a bad thing. It just can be intense. And so you have a day of these experiences and these interactions, and you're grateful for it. And then you go to sleep as soon as humanly possible.
Totally get that. It's like I imagine like when you're at, especially like these multi-day treks, mm-hmm. and that was after your live show too, the same week as well. Yeah. So like I can't even like, did you all hit the town at all? Like, did you have energy for that?
No, we're not gonna hit the town. For your point, we don't have energy for that. We love the concept of it. There were times in the past where we did try that.
Yeah.
And we pulled it off. But everything has its cost. It's one of those things where the weekend ends, you're like, that's about a month off the lifespan. Worth it. But you can feel it. You can feel the little carve away.
You're like,
process.
The time is it's getting closer.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, you know, you kind of found your way into voiceover. That wasn't something you really kind of like as a young lad was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to do voices for people.
Nah.
What was that transition? Like, what was that exploration? Because like you went into game testing, development, then eventually found yourself into doing VO for different little projects up until that point. What was your, like when you were a kid, what was your like aspiration, or what did you think you were going to be doing whenever you set off into the great beyond?
Right. When I was a very young kid, there was a brief time that I wanted to be a chemist because I liked the idea of mixing chemicals and making weird things happen. I was very young. But after that, like I was an artist. I loved drawing. I had endless sketchbooks. I read a lot of books and then drew what I saw in my imagination. I love creating creatures and monsters, and that, you know, drawing was always an expression of my imagination growing up. And so I thought I was going to go into animation. Never considered acting as a thing I would ever do, let alone voiceover. But at the same time, you know, in hindsight, my dad raised me on cartoons from a very young age, and we were a very vocally playful family, you know, I guess, you know, through Warner Brothers and Tex Avery and Monty Python. we were throwing around character voices and accents throughout the house constantly. So like I owe a lot to my dad being very like, making breakfast and I'm like, hello, good morning. What would you like to eat? Like super silly. And so a lot of just that sort of voice play was an atmosphere in my family growing up. And then it wasn't until I fell into like tabletop games in early high school, and then eventually through that found confidence to try out theater that I began to be like, oh, I actually kind of like this acting thing. Just it's an expression of that creativity I hadn't really thought I had the confidence to do, and slowly began to discover. And at the time I was also a lifelong gamer, heavy anime and cartoon fan still. And right around that time, voices began to happen in video games. We started having like Metal Gear Solid for the original PlayStation, which was such a formative piece of like quality cinematic voiceover and writing in video game media. Anime dubbing was getting better and better with each iterations from its really terrible early 90s.
What are you talking about?
It was watching it become a tangible industry right as I was beginning to love voiceover. It was this weird concept of like, man, that'd be cool, but that'll never happen. Like the idea to fold these multitudes of passions that have kind of raised me with this emergent love of performing arts was a cool pipe dream, but I had no real path for it. And through like circumstance, I managed to kind of finagle my way into doing some background voices in some really bad anime, like, Officer Number 3 going like, hey, and earning $50 an hour for 2 hours once every 6 months, $100. Good when you're 18, but it was just enough to kind of whet my appetite and be like, okay, so maybe this could be a thing. I don't know. And as the years went on, I worked in the game industry on like QA for many, many years, full-time jobs, 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. Many of you who've worked in QA know those all too well around crunch time. But I took pride in my work, learned a lot about game development, made a lot of friends in the industry. I'm very grateful for that time period. But I reached the time where I was like, I'm losing my passion for this side of the industry while I'm gaining more of an understanding, a grasp of how I could at least give this voiceover thing a shot. I'm much more of a fan of trying something and failing than never trying, and then wondering the rest of my life, what if I had tried? I love failing. I love the concept of trying things and then going, okay, well, that wasn't for me. Time to move on to the next one. And then I don't have that kind of albatross hanging on the back of my mind. And so that was very much what this was going to be. I was like, I'm saving up a little bit of money. I'm going to leave the game industry, this side of it at least, and I'm going to try and put my all into learning how to be a professional voice actor. Took a lot of workshops and classes, submitted for so many projects, got rejected from so many projects, began to meet some people, try and like learn from them, listen to feedback, get advice. And slowly through time, found a few moments where I was at the right place at the right time to kind of show what I could do. And some people took me under their wing and said like, all right, kid, you got some spark there. Let me introduce you to this person and they can get you some representation. And, it took a while to get there, but, a lot of, I can say that the adage is, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I'm a big fan of that one. So it's like spending a lot of time preparing and being ready. So when an opportunity presents itself, you can seize it with the confidence and honed skill at the highest level that you can. That's what sometimes creates luck. I mean, and a lot of it is just standard luck, but that preparation doesn't hurt you.
No, not at all. And God forbid you get the opportunity and then there's like,
exactly.
Sorry.
That's the thing. Without preparation, sometimes you only get that shot. And if you're not ready, it's you only get to make a first impression once for some folks. And so you want to put that best foot forward. And so it's just a lot of hard work, spending a decent amount of saved up money, living in my studio apartment, my 500, 600 square foot studio apartment in North Hollywood, with my kitchenette, which was just like a tiny fridge and a shelf, and trying to see if I can make this thing work. And it took a while, but it started to get to the point where I could support myself. I did some odd jobs in the interim. If any of you who have done temp work knows, I did, a lot of temp work, which is more or less you sign up for a temp agency. And what I liked about it was flexible hours. I just call in and be like, what do you have for me? And they're like, go to this address and stock shelves in this warehouse for 8 hours. And then you get paid minimum wage to do bullshit work. But, it allowed me the flexibility to go to auditions when I needed to. And I have some experiences doing temp work. But
that could be its own documentary or
right,
lengthy little narrative there.
Oh yeah. But I'm also grateful for the perspective. Once again, we get to meet a lot of interesting people with different perspectives and an appreciation for the hard work that goes into different industries that I wouldn't have had the experience for. Also meet a lot of really terrible people who should not be in positions of management and abuse that position and power. So once again, all great perspective on the human condition that only further inform my choices as an actor based on certain characters that I perform. So it's all been helpful.
It all feeds back in especially like with as many minds and personalities you have to pull out of the ether to keep your campaigns going and filled out and feel alive. I've seen I've watched interviews with other impressionists, other voice actors and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, this voice is just my aunt or this guy I used to know in the neighborhood, and I just kind of would imitate him, and then it would become this thing. There's especially for this for your profession, there's a lot of, there's quite literally inspiration everywhere when it comes to that.
Absolutely, it's just being aware and making the choice to be present and paying attention. It's very easy to just get used to it and it becomes noise or interaction. But be sitting at a coffee shop somewhere and not have anything to do for 10 minutes and then just sit and people watch for a little bit. Or, be around somebody who's having a conversation that you've hung out with many times, but as opposed to engaging in a conversation that you're not directly invited to or you have anything to add to it, watch their mannerisms or listen for their, how excitement changes their affectation in speech. How certain people stammer or break pauses into how they express stories. Some people speak through sentences, some people speak partially, and then come back through and break the thought up into different beats, and that's very natural and realistic. Sometimes people they'll say words over and over and over. They'll say words over and over again to try and get a point across like that, and that's another natural speech pattern that is different for how you might talk. But people talk like that. And so you pick up these little nuances to communication, to physicality that you just, if you're not taking a moment to be present and focused on those things, you might not ever notice. But that's part of the joy of being an actor or animator also. Learned a lot of that from animation, because you want to see how people move and interact and the physicality that comes with expression. So that all helps. Part of being an actor is just being a person that studies humanity in a very social way.
That is very, very true. I've never heard it described like that, but that's very apt.
You talk about me for a minute. What inspired? I'm going to turn this around for a second.
Oh no!
Your point of inspiration.
What is this supposed to do?
Too bad. It's coming back around. No, what was your spark for media and what you do? What was the thing that set you on the path?
Well, I mean, like you, it definitely started when I was a kid, because I was born in '88, so just the cusp of the end of the '80s, but in the prime of the early '90s and all of that, especially with you were talking about the evolution of anime, getting to see that wave hit. I was swept up with animation very, very early on, but I think the first thing that pulled me into media in general was I think the first movie I saw in a theater was Jurassic Park. And I'm just that's to me, and to this day for me, I feel that's that was the perfect expression of of the medium, as far as what this can do, faults or whatever genre preferences aside. They brought freaking dinosaurs onto a TV or to a big screen, and the people there sold it like it was reality. And I don't know, that's where I think I really kind of got really fascinated with it. Then my dad introduced me to Star Wars, and then it just kind of it just kept snowballing. like you, I drew a lot, but never really found. I think I ended up going to school for it. Following that through, though, in high school, I did some show choir in the
Oh, hell
interim
yeah.
because my graphic design teacher lit a fire under me in a way that I just couldn't handle anymore. I was like, I cannot listen to your voice anymore today. And like in my high school, I don't know if this was a common thing because I've talked to some people where they're like, what are you even talking about? Like once we hit like at my school, once we hit our junior year, we would they would have us pick like a major or a focus in high school. And then that's when it's like, oh, I wanted to draw, I wanted to do that kind of stuff. So they sent me to the trade school where they had graphic design teacher.
Oh, wow.
And then, so like half of the day I'd be there doing general courses, and then the other half I would be over there doing graphic design classes. And I loathed it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And I ended up switching to music so I could just focus on the show choir stuff. So I was already got my credits worth there by the extracurricular side of it, and then rode that out. But then when I went to college, I went in just for the shotgun of fine arts. Love charcoal, love it to death. I love playing with it, but the environment destroyed my love of it.
Really?
Yeah, like the grind, the Nate, I don't know what you would call it, the ecosystem around it there, at least at the school I went to.
The personalities or the actual industry?
It's just, I think just like the way that the work was kind of divvied out is like, it wasn't as like, this is my creation coming to life. It's like, oh, you got to do the thing they want you to do. And it's just like, after so much of that, working full time at a call center too, because I didn't want to stay at home.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that full time. It was just like, I was so emotionally drained and creatively bankrupt by the time I got my degree. I didn't pick up a pencil or a piece of charcoal, I think, for like 6 years.
I get that, man.
And I've just been recently trying to like get back into it and literally force my hand.
That's good. You get to claim it for yourself now.
Yeah. And I get through, honestly, like stuff like, Has Been Hotel and Vox Machina, like these things that have been coming out here recently, and just kind of finding my way back into animation through certain avenues like that is kind of, because that's what I liked drawing, was like that kind of stuff, and then some real just dark, moody shit too.
Ooh,
but like, that's kind of been, I think, one of the main things that kind of got me like going back in, because especially with Vox initially too, because the aesthetic is kind of like that anime vibe, especially that kind of took root in the mid to late 2000s.
Yeah.
I just love the look. I love the feel. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, especially because like we had our own little D&D table around here. We've been on hiatus for like 2 years because our host base is under renovations. Fair. And our DM refuses to do anything virtual. Which
I also understand that.
I respect.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Like, if you're getting back into your art, do you have any interest in possibly like posting it to your community?
I have.
Ooh, you have? I
just some like rough stuff.
I love it. Do you have any of your dark stuff up, or is it all the cartoony stuff?
It's more cartoony stuff.
Do you ever want to put up any of your dark stuff?
I have it somewhere buried in the depths of my Instagram.
Okay, I'll have to check and look. Well, if any future stuff comes out, both cartoony or charcoal dark stuff, please continue to post it, because I think that's awesome.
I think we're similar in that vein. Dabble. Everything's sunshine and rainbows in the presentation. In the back of your mind, it's like, what is going on?
Oh yeah. Once again, the human condition. It is multitudes, and the darkness makes the light that much more colorful.
Exactly. You can't have one without the other.
Damn right.
So yeah, like after all that though, like I ended up just sticking with IT as my core like component, because that's what got me to my degree. And then I was like, well, this is stable. Yep, and I'm getting paid pretty well. So I just kind of went from like ISP call center, which was hell, and to an actual support desk, and now I'm just kind of climbing up that ladder. And then I was like, I know what, I got room, I got a place, I'm finally going to do this thing. It's like, at least like find, I started this just as way as like, because like as you older you get, at least in a lot of instances, it's harder to like keep up with everybody and talk about, especially in this content wave we've been living in, about all the shit that is just constantly coming out, and not having an outlet. I just kind of got, honestly, I was like, I need to talk to somebody, even if it's just this wall or something, and decided to do this and didn't stop. And
great.
It's been a weird ride that I didn't quite anticipate at this point, but a lot of things just happily aligned in some ways that I didn't expect, like, you know, checking out your show, because like you guys, like we talked about this, you guys had we went into this a little bit at Chicago. It was like I obviously, like, I knew about you guys, like it's hard not to, being in like the nerd sphere, just kind of being, especially like you guys are voicing shit and like most of what I watch or play most of the time anyway.
Gotcha.
But I didn't know how to get into it. So like when Vox landed, I was like, okay, anytime it's like a show adaptation of a thing I found like impenetrable from my stance, I'm like, hopefully the show is a good way to do this. Sometimes the show's not a good way to do that, but we'll talk about that because you guys nailed it.
Oh, thank you.
And it made me actually go back and go through the old stuff, because I don't want to go through any of the current stuff, because, you know, God forbid that gets animated, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I've already had some things spoiled, but I want to try to keep it as clear as possible, because that's the fun aspect of it.
Yeah,
and
totally.
And it's also a little gift to you.
No. Yeah.
But, and then, yeah, like that, like you guys happening upon my Vox Machina reactions was when you like reposted that stuff. I think I was like, I just went to my girlfriend. I was like, what the fuck? I don't know what to do with this information right now.
It was so cool. Like, it's one thing to see people's reactions online to like our live stream. It's mostly, you know, text, of course, but then like some amazing fan art and you know, cosplay, and like people have done. That's been a big joy of ours, is to kind of experience and be present with people who've enjoyed what we're doing, and then to kind of like give that feedback and energy back to them. And it's been awesome, because the animated series takes so much time, and there's such a massive collaboration with so many talented people across production, the animation studios, the producers, the music, the audio. It's such a massive endeavor that just kind of gets built in the darkness over years, that when it finally hits, it's this big, like, I hope people like it. You know, you're hopeful.
Yeah.
And then so the reaction videos were the most direct way to be present in that kind of non-creepy as we can be way, like watch people's faces as they go through all these scenes that we've watched 100 times and have like tweaked and messed with, to the point where it almost becomes numb to a certain degree.
Right.
And to relive that joy and surprise and laughter and tears through, you know, people like you was far more fulfilling, I think, than any of us expected, because we haven't really had that experience. And so it's been really, really cool to kind of really stumble into the media reaction community and see all these amazing creators like yourself. And yeah, I don't know. It's a really cool, once again, another positive feedback loop where it's exciting for us.
I like it too, because like it just like you said, like it's capturing that first experience, because I was trying to like isolate like why I got drawn to it initially myself before I started like, is reaction content what I want to do? Like, was that what I want to kind of make my niche or whatever? And then, you know, I was originally, you know, I was kind of inspired by like the early like internet kind of critics of the time who had their whole little like personas or character or whatever, but then they ran rave about whatever they were talking about. But then like that joy of like, because that's like my favorite thing of starting like a new relationship. Not that I'm always like looking for a new relationship.
I know what you mean though.
Just whoever's listening right now. But it's like, oh, now there's like this whole library of things I can show you And like you said, you get to do it from afar through a screen, but like I it's so hard for me if I'm showing somebody to not be like just watching their face
Oh yeah, no, I
while
did the
it's
same
going
thing in person.
on.
When I have like a friend over to watch a movie that's a favorite movie of mine that they've never seen, and I'm like, I'm going to sit you down, I'm going to make you watch it, and it's not going to be weird, but I only watch your face the whole time, right? You know, I feel you entirely.
Yeah, because like that's the closest you can get to ever recapturing that first experience is through someone else. That's why you also have, you know, like with people who had kids and stuff like that too. They're like, oh, now it's like I'm reliving all of life again through so and so. You know, it's, and I just fell in love with that aspect of it. And yeah, I don't know. There's just something fun about it.
Yeah,
You know, it's got its like haters for sure, but
everything does, man.
everything does, yes. But yeah, on like that pressure with that amount of time to get some, or where you're just kind of working on that, when it did hit and you know it had the reaction that it did, how did that was there like a sigh of relief with everybody, or are you still riding a little bit of that anxiety? How are you guys feeling after that? You're on your new show now, which is also just very, not completely different by any stretch, but it's definitely has its own voice for sure.
It's a tonal shift. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the anxiety never goes away. I'd be scared if it did. I think it's a tool. It lets me know that I care. You know, if I don't feel those butterflies in my stomach, then I've lost the thread. But yeah, it was very intense hoping people would like it. You know, we've put so much of ourselves into it, and so many people outside of us have put themselves into it. And one, the expectation was so high from our community that was already with us, but let alone the idea of like, we're so close to this. We know our community will identify with this. I hope they like it. We're making it for them, but we're also hoping that people who have no concept of this, it was an impossible task to be like, to take so much narrative content, to adapt it to such a smaller short form media with so many characters and an ensemble cast in a vast fantasy world, with a story that even on our streaming, you know, history of it came in media res, and was never intended to be adapted to anything else. So it was a lot of things working against us, and I think we were all very well aware of it. But I think, I mean, like it was a perfect cross of people that came together to make this happen. One, because the Kickstarter blew up, it allowed us to have a position of power when it came to choosing partnerships on how to get this produced. You know, when we were originally pitching it, before anybody cared or had any idea what the hell we were doing to all these companies, you know, we probably would have agreed to something that wouldn't have given us as much creative input and control if it meant that it was the only way it was going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
We would have said no to it all entirely, and it never would have happened. So because the community rallied so heavily around the Kickstarter, it didn't just make it happen. It let the people in the industry that usually hold the power go like, okay, we don't understand this and it's working. Maybe we should let them do what's working. And you know, the folks at Prime Video, which, let's be honest, Amazon was not the company I thought would be the best creative partners in a project, just given the whole context of Amazon's history. But as you've learned, Prime Video is very separate from the rest of the company, and everyone there has been so awesome to work with. They've been so collaborative and so like just supportive of what we and understanding that we have a vision for this and they want to facilitate that, and will bring their influence and feedback in where they think it's helpful. And in many cases it is. And when we're like, actually, we feel differently, they'll be like, okay, totally get it. And then they'll give us feedback and be like, actually, no, that's actually a good note. Thank you. So it's a really good collaborative process that I never would have thought would have come out of Amazon. But so like their hard work, the community rising up to give us that position of I don't want to say position of power, but a position of respect to the production process allowed us to kind of be the caretakers to it, to our own adaptation, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just trusting in the collaboration with everybody, because it wasn't just us in a room going, this is how it has to be. It was the showrunners, it was the writers, it was the storyboard artists. Like everybody brought something to the table and brought their best to it, and it just kind of felt like the best alchemy once it started getting going. And so I like to think the reason that a lot of this came out the way it did, with all that was working against it to be this good, is because we were respected and allowed to drive this, in an industry that often, creatives don't get to maintain that sort of ownership over a vision. And we've been able to maintain that with Mighty Nein, and I'm very, very grateful for that, and also recognize how rare that is.
Yeah, like when we I talked to Travis about it briefly when we first kind of got into touch, and Amazon, like you said, like it's like there's like such an idea about the studio, the execs, and about the struggle, the tug of war between the creative side and then the big studio heads or whatever, and then everybody I've talked to who's worked with Prime Video specifically, not Amazon as the whole, but like Prime Video, it's a lot of it's like so unprecedented in the industry, and the way that they've the types of deals that they've made, or the leniency they have, like from The Boys to your show to the recent whole thing with YouTube and the Helliverse and all that kind of stuff. Like Warner Brothers wouldn't have done that, wouldn't have made these deals, wouldn't given you guys the leeway to do what you did. And it's just like one of those things. It's like, where's the fine line?
I know.
What part of my soul did I just lose?
Right,
what
like where's the other
here?
shoe? There's another shoe, right? There's a massive shoe. It's ready to drop somewhere here, right?
And you're just hovering above your head.
I know. Honestly, I'm just not looking far enough. Oh goodness, yeah. It's we're very grateful, and we continue to learn. That's the thing. Like with each step, we stumble, we take note, we learn, we listen to each other, and we just try and improve each other as we go. And like with every season of Vox Machina, it continues to evolve and better itself through those lessons. And the Mighty Nein is an evolution of so many lessons we learned with Vox Machina, and being allowed to create these things in the same universe but with very different tones, as companion pieces, really. So yeah, I think a lot of this works because of so many different factors, but those are definitely some of the large ones that have allowed us. And I'll shout out their praises again. I'll big ups to Sam and Travis. It's like, we all have our different responsibilities within our terrifying Critical Role company experience, that we're all just screaming at the front of this bullet train going, what is happening? But Sam and Travis have been very much the driving force and leadership behind the animated series, through contracts, through production, through oversight, through rewrites, through storyboards, through and like all of us are involved in different degrees, but those two are more in the trenches than anybody in our team, and a large part of why the shows are as good as they are is because those two are diligent as fuck.
I can imagine. Going like from where we started off with all of this, you talking about your kind of like your trajectory in life. You've kind of wound up. You was like, oh, maybe I want to do animation. I like drawing, and then, well, I like D&D. I like acting. I like games, and it's just like you're right now. You're just like, you know what? All of it.
Just match it all.
Just all of it at the same time. Like,
I don't know why. That doesn't make sense, man. I don't know.
It's some kind of cosmic witchcraft right there, man.
It really is. I don't know, man. I fail to find the words to describe how grateful I am and how aware I am of this unanticipated and unprecedented path. So I am doing when you asked, like, I think when we got on here, you're like, yeah, I don't know where you find the time. And I say, we don't. It's because we all know how rare this is, and we want to treat it with the level of respect that it needs to guide it, to shape it, to make it, as strong, as meaningful, as intentional, as ethical, and as I don't know, as important to us as it is for other people as we can, and that takes everything. So this is definitely something we're all very passionate about. In many ways, this is a legacy that I look forward to using to allow others to build and realize their dreams as well. I think somebody asked me last year in an interview, they were like, you done this, what's next? What's the next major goal? And I was like, I don't have any. I did it. Like, maybe I set my sights too low. I don't know, but like, I'm good. I'm excited to continue to build this for other people to now build their cool things. And, my ultimate goal is to disappear into the background and be someone's warlock patron. That's the ultimate goal. But all of this is wild. All of this bucks a lot of history and entertainment, especially in Los Angeles. And we're going to do everything we can to safeguard it and keep building cool shit until they tell us we can't do it anymore. And then I'll play video games and paint minis until I become Ash.
Sounds like the life, man. So how many minis do you have? Do you even have like a number?
Pre-painted, like standard, role-playing game minis that I've been collecting for many, many years. I probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of upper hundreds. And then like painted minis, if we're talking like my old Skaven Warhammer army from high school, my Menoth War Machine army, my Kingdom Death Monster minis, that's probably another 200 something. No, 300 about, because that includes all the Survivors Kingdom Death Monsters. So I'd say altogether, probably like 1,200 minis is my estimation.
That's wild.
Mind you, a lot of these minis were bought for Critical Role production and are like, we're...
No. Don't be like, I could just write this off, right? This is for the show, not for me.
Totally, absolutely. There's no other reason why I would ever want these in my massive adult Lego playroom.
Hey, man, I think the goal in life at the end of the day is to keep that child alive inside of you as long as possible. Because without it, like, I just feel like it's a sad ass life.
Agreed, man. Agreed.
Just how do you cope with everything going on in the world sometimes if you don't have that?
Well, a lot that's happening in the world wouldn't be happening if people didn't lose their sense of play. Like play, and I've said this time and time again, play is such an intrinsically not just healthy, but necessary part of life, of being human. And so much worldwide culture, let alone American culture, seems to squeeze the idea of play being not just, necessary, but out of your concept of being an adult, but tells you it's childish and should be discarded entirely. And I couldn't disagree more. And I think that's why I love tabletop games. It's one of the most direct and primal invitations to play. No matter what your level of comfort or skill or experience is, these rule structures are permission to play in ways that either you hadn't quite found the comfort or confidence to engage in, or if you have, to completely run wild with it with your favorite people. And so play is so important. And I hope the world continues to embrace it more and more.
I can't agree more. I think especially at you know, when you're somebody who feels very intensely too, it can be very overwhelming and stuff. And that's for me one of the few ways I have to like decompress and exercise a lot of that is through some sort of like avenue of that, whether it's, you know, video game or D&D or just a movie, just to kind of check in and have a little fun of the mind. And I think,
Absolutely.
you know, you said like it's just there's so much like culture about trying to like snuff that out. And I was like, how do you even stay sane? And a lot of times they don't.
They don't.
Like,
That's the issue. Exactly. Exactly. No, it's, well, here's the thing. You can write everything off as escapism. And there is some facet of that. You could say, like, oh, it's a release valve of the stress of every day. But each story or experience that you consume through media, be it movie, television show, video game, tabletop game, while you are escaping, you are also, part of you is living this story and this experience and testing what you would do in that scenario. And that that equation, that sort of theoretical circumstance helps you evaluate and reflect on who you want to be going forward. Why do you resonate with this protagonist? When they make a decision that you really agree with, that affirms your sense of justice and wanting to change the world in a better way. If this character does something that you deeply disagree with, that further affirms why you don't want to be like that person or be near people like that. When opportunities arise for a person to, you know, better their community in these stories and these shows like that, those are all, while you are escaping your stress, you are also reaffirming the person you want to continue to be, because you never stop becoming someone. You're always evolving. You're always moving towards the next version of you, and whether that be through traveling the world, whether that be through work experience, whether that be through my computer making loud noises in the middle of nothing, or whether that be, you know, sorry, I don't know if you heard my loud reminder there for my meeting.
I did not.
Well, then trust me, it made a loud beep noise, and I commented on it. It was really funny. Thank you. No, but yeah, like regardless of where you are, this is just another form of you evolving yourself. Mm-hmm. That's why storytelling is so important. Whether it be verbal storytelling, whether it be through all these different mediums. Well, yeah, it's entertainment. It's also a little moment to study and empathize with others. And that only helps you through most of these scenarios, unless it's a particularly harmful form of content in media. But, you know, we're pretty good about through social media notifying each other of what's good and what's not.
For sure. And I agree with you on that, like wholeheartedly, like about, I mean, it's literally role play. Like you are meant to be sitting down and walking in the shoes of somebody else. And those shoes are a journey down a path maybe you wouldn't walk in your life. And like you said, it could take you down a path like, oh, yeah, I get that. Or, oh, no, maybe I should never do something like that.
Yeah.
Like it forces you to confront maybe ways of thought you would never have considered, types of, you know, conflicts you would never find yourself in and ask those questions about. And then just a lot of understanding about people that aren't you. And it's especially like role-playing games and film and just storytelling in general it's one big exercise, I think, of empathy, like you said.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
You know, some people just like, oh, it's just moving pictures and stuff like that. I was like, relax a little bit more. Like it's just so much more than that. Like when you start to like take what's happening in front of you as if it's happening in front of you, it just changes so much of your perspective, I think. Absolutely.
I mean, goodness, I don't know where I'd be today if Atreyu of Neverending Story didn't come into my life as a kid. You know, like that was one of those films that as a child was like, hey, open up your mind, allow yourself to be the hero you want to be in the spaces that you can be, and also sneak off into weird attics and read ancient books. when people tell you not to. Those are the 3 things I learned out of Neverending Story.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, you'd hear that back in the day anyway. Like, God forbid. Oh my God. You're ridiculous. I love it. But I don't want to hold you up anymore. I know you got things you need to be off to do.
That's all
but
good,
thank you
man.
so much for taking the time to chit chat.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, this probably could have gone on forever.
Oh yeah, easily.
But that just means more to talk about for another time.
See, there you go.
I'll keep stringing you along.
I see your technique. I see you now.
No, he's discovered me. But I will let you go, and thank you so much for your time, all you do, the world you bring, and the joy, and all of it. I know I'm not the only one that appreciates it. So keep on being you.
Hey,
because that's what we're here for.
You too.
No, I'm going to be anybody other than that.
God damn it.
Ha ha!
It's too smart for me.